Careless act, deadly result. Is it a crime?
A doctor prescribes the wrong medication. A construction foreman ignores safety protocols. A dog owner lets their aggressive pet roam free. When someone dies because of another person's carelessness, it can turn into involuntary manslaughter, where negligence meets criminal law. Today, let's break down how accidents become crimes under California law. In California, involuntary manslaughter is defined by Penal Code Section 192B. It doesn't require an intent to kill. Instead, it criminalizes causing someone's death through criminal negligence or during certain unlawful acts. The statute describes it as a killing in the commission of an unlawful act not amounting to a felony, or in the commission of a lawful act which might produce death in an unlawful manner or without due caution. That means you don't have to plan or want someone to die for it to be considered a crime. The key concept here is criminal negligence. This is not the same thing as ordinary carelessness or a simple mistake. Criminal negligence means acting with a reckless disregard for human life. Conduct that a reasonable person would know creates a high risk of death or great bodily injury. It's a gross deviation from how a reasonable person would behave in the same situation. This is the difference between forgetting to set your alarm clock and leaving a loaded gun where a child can reach it. One is a mistake, the other can rise to the level of criminal recklessness. For prosecutors to convict someone of involuntary manslaughter, they have to prove 4 things beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that you committed an act that caused another person's death. Second, that the act was done with criminal negligence. Third, that a reasonable person would have recognized that the act created a risk of death or serious injury. And fourth, that you weren't acting in self-defense. Notice what's not included: intent to kill. That's the crucial difference between involuntary manslaughter and other forms of homicide like murder or voluntary manslaughter. Now let's talk about penalties. Involuntary manslaughter is punishable by 2, 3, or 4 years in state prison or sometimes in county jail under realignment. There can also be fines of up to $10,000. It only counts as a strike offense if a firearm or deadly weapon was used. While the punishment is less severe than voluntary manslaughter or murder, it still represents years behind bars for something that may have started as an accident. Real-world examples help make sense of how these cases come up. Medical malpractice cases can sometimes rise to the level of criminal negligence, like the case of Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael Jackson's physician. Workplace accidents caused by ignoring safety rules can trigger charges. Parents who neglect their children and unintentionally cause their death may face prosecution. Hazing incidents in fraternities that result in fatalities are another example. Even mishandling a firearm in a reckless way that leads to someone's death can cross the line from accident to crime. These scenarios show how quickly negligence can turn into criminal responsibility. Defenses to involuntary manslaughter depend heavily on the facts. One approach is to argue that the conduct wasn't criminally negligent, that it was at most ordinary carelessness, which the law does not punish as a crime. Another is to show that the death was a pure accident without negligence. Sometimes the argument is lack of causation, meaning something else was the true cause of death, not the defendant's conduct. And self-defense remains a defense if the act occurred while reasonably protecting oneself or others. The line between criminal negligence and mere negligence is often the central battle in these cases. One tricky part of involuntary manslaughter cases is that the same conduct can trigger both criminal charges and civil lawsuits. Even if someone is acquitted in a criminal trial, the family of the deceased can still sue for wrongful death in civil court. And because the burden of proof is lower in civil cases, just a preponderance of the evidence instead of beyond a reasonable doubt, it's possible to win criminally but lose civilly. That makes these cases especially complex and high stakes. Involuntary manslaughter charges take tragedies that may have begun as mistakes and treat them as crimes. California law demands accountability when conduct goes beyond negligence into recklessness. But every case depends on the facts and how the law applies to them. If you or someone you care about is facing involuntary manslaughter charges, schedule a consultation today. The earlier you act, the more options you'll have to protect your rights, challenge the evidence, and fight for your future.
Don't forget to like and share this video, and for more legal insights, keep watching and subscribe to our channel.